The most sickening feeling that I've ever had. We were approaching the crossing and we noticed that there was two girls walking down the track with their backs to us. We started blowing the whistle and had the bell on, but there was no response. At the last minute, the one girl turned and we knocked her out in the brush. She survived, but the other one, she never flinched, never turned around.
It's not a day goes by that we don't see someone almost get killed out on the tracks, either playing on the tracks, playing on bridges, or going around crossing, running lights. Next time that person's out on the tracks, it could be a tragedy for them and for the train crews and everyone else involved.
You live with them all your life. I hit a pickup truck with 3 little girls in the back and killed the 3 girls. And I'll remember that to my grave, the looks on their faces as I bore down on it with the engine. It was horrible for them, horrible for me, and of course deadly for the kids.
The fact of the matter is that most of us don't really understand how dangerous trespassing along rail lines can be. So if we are cited for trespass and come to court and the judge simply says, well, that's a $50 fine and you're out of here, my friend, the person doesn't really buy in to the fact that what they did was as dangerous as it was.
Fatalities always affect the whole community because usually it's a member of the community that is involved. Their family is here, their friends are here, and it's a tremendous tragedy and loss whenever somebody dies without cause.
If you take that chance to go around a gate, it may be the last chance you'll ever take.
It's your call. Each year, approximately 1,000 people die in collisions at crossings and along railroad rights-of-way. Several thousand more are critically injured. Impatience, inattention, and ignorance of the law result in drivers and pedestrians making these fatal decisions. People will continue this dangerous and illegal behavior unless a strong partnership involving education, engineering, and enforcement is in place. Judicial support also plays a crucial role in reducing these preventable tragedies. The U.S. Supreme Court has held that trains have the right-of-way, and the responsibility for yielding is always with the person approaching the crossing. The basis for this reasoning involves 3 factors. Trains can't swerve to avoid a collision. They're committed to the rails. Engineers can only blow the horn, apply the brakes, and just hope motorists or pedestrians are clear. Trains can't stop quickly. Even in emergency braking, the average 12 million-pound freight train traveling at 55 miles per hour will take a mile or more to stop. That's the length of 18 football fields. Trains create optical illusions. Their massive size and angle of approach make them appear to be moving slowly. Senseless tragedies result when people fail to yield and attempt to beat the train.
Down in Halsey, Oregon, I was going 70 miles an hour, and a guy ran right through a stop sign and hit the side of my engine. That was just been a split second of me hitting the side of the truck. My train can go up to 79 miles an hour, and if I'm going 79 miles an hour, it's going to take me way over a mile to stop. And if I can see that person on the tracks, I put my train in emergency. If they don't get off the tracks, I'm going to hit them.
Since 1972, collisions with trains have been reduced by more than 70%, largely due to the efforts of Operation Lifesaver, a nationwide nonprofit safety organization. This has been accomplished through public education.
Use your brain. Don't mess with the train.
Engineering improvements, and partnering with law enforcement. Despite these gains, collisions are still at unacceptable levels. You are about 40 times more likely to die in a collision with a train than with another motor vehicle. One obvious reason is the tremendous weight ratio difference between an automobile and the average train. This weight difference is like an automobile running over a 12-ounce can of pop. When 12 million pounds of train meets a 3,000-pound automobile, the results are deadly. Many people think that most collisions occur at passive crossings with no active warning devices. The fact is, almost 50% of these collisions occur where state-of-the-art technology is in place. People ignore the flashing lights, drive around the lowered gates, and put themselves, their families, train crews, even their entire communities in danger. When trains collide with large commercial vehicles, the results can be catastrophic. Severe derailments, the release of hazardous materials, and explosions can devastate a community and threaten the lives of citizens. When the driver of a gasoline tanker went through the lowered gates and flashing lights at this crossing, an oncoming train cut the tanker in half. Innocent motorists waiting in their cars were burned to death in the explosion. In this tragic incident, 11 people were killed at this crossing when a truck driver drove in front of an oncoming train. Whether it's a truck, an automobile, a bicycle, or a pedestrian, highway rail grade crossing laws are in place to help prevent collisions, injuries, and deaths. Countless lives can be saved when police officers enforce these laws and judges make decisions that will deter future violations. Trespassing is a dangerous and illegal activity that takes even more lives than crossing collisions. It is the greatest challenge to Operation Lifesaver and its community partners. People make the fatal mistake of choosing railroad tracks for shortcuts, jogging, hiking, walking their pets, riding motorcycles, and all-terrain vehicles. There is a tendency to see only the romantic and adventurous side of railroads and railroad tracks. The typical adult response is, "I did it when I was a kid. What's the harm?" The reality is, when a train has to go into emergency braking, a very real danger of derailment is present because of load distribution, curves, grades, and other factors. Trespassers are struck and killed because they're usually concentrating on their own activities. The old clickety-clack sound of a train's wheels going over rail joints is quickly disappearing. Modern trains run mostly on seamless ribbons of welded rail at faster speeds and are much quieter. Many joggers wear headphones and never hear the locomotive horns. The sounds of motorcycles, snowmobiles, and ATVs can also drown out a train's warning horns. Additional hazards are present on railroad bridges and in tunnels. Most railroad bridges don't have walkways because they're only built for trains, not people. If there is a maintenance walkway, it still won't keep trespassers from being struck. Trains overhang the rails by at least 3 feet. The only choice for a trespasser is to jump. The vast majority of trespass fatalities are everyday citizens, children, teens, and adults who make up our communities.
2 children struck and killed by an Amtrak train.
You know, this is a terrible tragedy. 2 girls, ages 11 and 13, were walking toward the train as it happened.
The trains have nowhere to go except right straight down the tracks, and then they panicked. The tracks are not a place to be walking or playing.
Regardless of how young a person is and how good their reflexes might be, if they get in a situation where the law of physics applies, they will simply fall victim to those laws.
There's always a couple things I tell people when I talk to them about railroad safety. And the one thing is, if it's a tie, you lose, number one. And the second thing is, look, listen, live. Please stay off the tracks.
Vandalism of railroad property is a serious problem for railroads and can also have devastating effects on communities. Catastrophic derailments can result from tampering with railroad equipment. Even placing small objects on the rails can cause injury, death, and destruction. Train crews have been injured and sometimes killed by objects thrown or fired at their trains. When vandals started a fire on this trestle, it resulted in extensive property damage.
A dramatic bridge fire has shut down the main north-south railway in and out of the Puget Sound region.
This could have resulted in loss of life, serious injury, and devastating environmental effects. Young people have lost both life and limb when engaging in the illegal act of tagging rail cars with graffiti. Senseless acts involving the removal or defacing of railroad warning signs can also have tragic results. The fact is, trains run on any track, in any direction, at any time. With the help of law enforcement and judicial support, we can instill the right message. Stay off, stay away, stay alive.
For us to do the best job possible, it's important to continue with our education and to understand the perils which can occur when individuals do things like try and race across crossings in front of railroad engines and trespass on rails or put pennies on rails, little things that they would think maybe, well, gosh, all of us did, and why is that a problem?
One very successful outreach program of Operation Lifesaver is Officer on the Train. This program allows law enforcement officers to see, from the engineer's perspective, violations and the dangers at crossings. Judges and prosecutors are also encouraged to participate as well. Witnessing from a locomotive the dangerous activity and risks people take will give you a first-hand look at what engineers and train crews face each day. Strong enforcement policies and good judicial actions are successful and essential to ongoing education and engineering efforts.
Well, I think that the whole judicial system, including the judges and the prosecutors, are part of this team, and whenever they're called upon, even though it may seem like kind of a minor traffic offense for somebody to drive around the crossing arms, it's no different than a DUI or another reckless type driving incident, and it needs that kind of attention.
As members of the judicial community, you have the opportunity to change the attitudes and behavior of citizens who ignore crossing laws, commit acts of vandalism, and trespass on railroad rights-of-way. When it comes to saving lives and preventing injuries, remember, it's your call. For more information, contact Operation Lifesaver at 1-800-537-6224 or visit our website at www.oli.org.